William Chase is a serial entrepreneur. He founded and sold two huge businesses for over £150 million.
You can fuck off for a start. So I thought, wow, shall I go now or shall I stay here?
William Chase is the founder of Tyrells Potato Chips and Chase Distillery, Chase Vodka and Williams Gin, and is known for his massive success in the food and beverage industry.
Tyrells, when I built it, I laid all the concrete in the yards and everything myself, built the buildings and gone out and bought all the fryers and sourced them, from the packaging machines to everything.
He started his career as a potato farmer and went on to create multi-million-pound businesses selling hand-cut crisps and alcohol made from his own potatoes and apples on his farm. He now owns Willy's, which is all about probiotics, gut health and well-being. William Chase's story is one of determination, innovation, passion and quality. Join us on the podcast and we'll explore his journey further and learn from his experiences.
Before you start this episode, please can you click subscribe below and follow our social handles in the description. It's a massive help and it keeps you up to date with all the exciting announcements from the podcast. William, thanks very much for joining us today. Appreciate you giving us some time.
Pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Good stuff. I'm going to, as an admirer of all the brands that you've sort of created, and I want to get into that in a bit. I'm excited about this podcast. Got tons of questions for you, which hopefully will be positive and might put you under a bit of pressure. So you went off to Australia.
Yeah.
What made you come back? So that must have been quite difficult to kind of go away from where you live, the family farm.
It was,
actual family.
At the same time, the bank was trying to take it off us as well. I hadn't quite got to that point, so I knew I had a few weeks before they started to get heavy in trying to sort of throw us out and something. And so that was quite a that was a tricky one. But it sort of I think it was great educational.
What do you think was the top learn from that whole process? Because that obviously was a difficult time.
Never give up faith and belief. If you believe it, I talk about finding the magic and people think I'm crazy, but you hear everybody talking about never give up. I've heard a lot of you mention it so often, is that perseverance, work ethics, however you put it. But if you believe it and you get everybody around you to believe it, it will work. It will happen.
It's powerful, isn't it? There's three things that I tell my son. He loves his football. And there's three things that I talk to him about probably 3-4 times when I'm in the car and he's in the passenger seat and I'm talking to him about how he's going to get on in the game today. We start sort of getting his mind in the right frame. I always say, what are the three things we need to remember today? And one of those things is never give up.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I'm tremendously proud about, other than he's not the best in the team, he's not the worst in the team, he's somewhere in the middle. He works really, really hard. He's got some really good attributes, but also some attributes he needs to work on. But the one thing that I'm always proud of is he will be one of the ones on that pitch that will never stop running and that won't ever give up, regardless of whether he's 16-0 down or 16-0 ahead. And that, for me, is a trait that if I could nail something onto what I want to leave behind now would be would be one of the things that I hope that my kids live with and they understand and think about every day. Is that aspect of it? It's hard to beat somebody that doesn't give up. That's the phrase, isn't it?
That's your phrase as well, isn't it?
It's hard to do that.
That's a beautiful one.
I've never been the best at anything that I've done ever. I've never been the best salesperson. I've never been the best skilled telecoms professional.
No.
But I'm resourceful and I won't give up. And tenacity, work ethic, all that stuff that I learned from my dad digging holes since he was 12 as a builder up until he was 75.
Yeah.
Still wants to work now. He's 80. He doesn't need to work, but he still wants to do the bits because he's still got that underlying, I want to get up and do something about him. And I think that's really, really important. I hope that's one of the hopes for me, is that they take that through.
That's fantastic. And that's the best thing you can do for your children, is to treat them as a friend, but then also have the respect that they need to you never give up, do you? You always believe. You don't even put it in your mind that it's gonna. And so resilience.
That's the one thing as a business owner that I've really learned is, and I don't know whether this is normal or not. Or maybe you can answer this question for me because you're way further on in your career of experiences in life and business and stuff. But I get up every morning. There's no choice of this is what I've got to do. There's no choice of I've got to work hard today or I get up and think, I don't fancy it today. And there never has been for me. Even working for other businesses, other people, when I've been getting on well or not getting on so well, I've never got up in the morning and looked at work as a choice. It's just a necessity. I have to work hard because that's just what that's what we do. And then I talk about that to people that don't understand that, and they think I'm weird.
No, I get
strange.
I get exactly the same thing. So and we made that way, or that's nothing. I don't think there's anything you can do about that. And I thought I was the only one that used to wake up early and worry about things until I met other people that woke up and worried about things.
Yeah.
Some people, my 5 o'clock darkness, now I go for a run. I just have to get out of bed and go for a run, do exercise, and then I can work it out like that. But if you just vegetate in it, you're never gonna stop it, are you? So that is such a key.
Does that ever
key
stop
point.
for you?
No, it won't stop. That's the sad thing but it's a good thing, because otherwise you just give up and you'd retire and you do bugger all, wouldn't you? So it makes you. Now, I think that's such a quality, and we were talking earlier about those 3 points in life you need. I would say I've always switched about all the different things that you need as your top quality, but I'd say that's your best quality. The only thing is it's managing it in your mind. If you've got that quality,
when you've got a lot of things going,
a lot of people would love to have that.
Yeah.
But then when you've got it, you think, why was I given this? Because can't I just go and have an
easier life?
Easy life? Yeah. Do I have to be looking for that thing in the distance?
Because the people closest to me throughout my life have always, my mum and dad listen to these podcasts, everyone, which I'm grateful for. But they worry. They worry every day.
No, it's a great.
They worry all the time. You're doing too much. You're doing this. You're burning out. You look like shit. You
look at me,
mate. You look well. And all this stuff. And they worry. I think and they've not always wanted me to take the risks or go after something, because they're like, why can't you? They've got a different attitude, which is why can't you just sit on the salary and have some comfortable time and enjoy? But that's my nightmare. I don't want that. And as much as I'll moan and groan that things are difficult sometimes, as we all do, I wouldn't change it.
No, I'm glad you say that, because I think I used to look at it and think, why have I been lumbered with this chalice that I've got to get up and I've got to do this and I've always got to do more and I've got to keep going. But now I think if you need to embrace that, and I think that's a gift. That's the amount of people you're looking, and we were talking earlier about recruiting and trying to get people to join in.
Yeah.
If you can get people with that, it's endless what you can do. If you get 2 or 3 people like that together, it's phenomenal what they can achieve. But if you've got one trying to go forwards and the rest want to say, well, we've done enough. I bet for you, enough is never enough, is it? Whatever you do, if it's going well,
not really.
You want a bit more of it.
Absolutely. It's energy.
It is
what it is. It's we'll go and acquire a customer, and I'll genuinely be every single customer that comes in. An email will go out, a WhatsApp message will go into the group. We'll bang the gong outside and celebrate, whether it's small, medium, or large. Doesn't make any difference. But that feeling is fantastic every single time. It never gets old. But I want another one tomorrow, late in an hour, next week, next month, because, again, don't know whether it's good or bad or not, I don't know, but that's just the way I am.
That's a fantastic quality, and not many people have
got because I want to feel good all the time. I want the business to be successful. I want people to share that positivity, that happiness, that success.
But you're looking for something where you want to get to that you probably will never. I accept it now. I'll never get there. I always think we're going to get to this.
See, that's an interesting thing you say, isn't it? Because a lot of people say, "What are the goals?" I still want to
get there. But I'm beginning at my age now. I'm beginning to realise that you only live once, and you only live, especially like with the cancer thing, and when you have a touch of whether you're going to live or the whole mortality thing, you think it's putting that light out, that thing you're going for. But I'm still going for that thing, and I don't want to lose that. It's probably, to some people, they say you're crazy. You could go and do whatever you like. You can. But I just think it's just fantastic that belief, and trying to find others that want to come with you. So is that one of your?
Some of my most memorable moments that we've ever had is seeing people that think they come into the business and think they can't do something because of the history or the past or their confidence or personality or lack of skills or whatever it is, and seeing them do the things that they say that at the start are impossible. For example, buying a house. We've got a lovely girl. She came in first day. I said, "What are your goals, aspirations?" "I want to buy a house." "Right. No, not undifferent to most people. People want to buy a house at a young age. But I'm never going to do it because I've been 8 years as a hairdresser. I've not done this. I've not done that. I'm never going to be in a position to go and do that." And I thought, yes, you fucking will. And do you know what? I'm going to make it a mission for me to support you in doing that. And actually, one of my proudest moments is when she went and bought the house. Yeah. Now, other people listening to this might think she could have got a job anywhere and earn the same money and go buy the house. And that might be true. Yeah. But she didn't. She did it here under our brand. and using our business as a vessel to be happy in her life, which is now, thankfully, she's in a position where she's pregnant, she's happy, you know, she owns a home. Go back 2-3 years, none of that was possible in her mind. Yeah. And I'm proud to know that we contributed to that. She's done it, but we've contributed, and that'll be worth more than any deal or any bit of money gives. And if I want to do that again, I want to do that again multiple times, all the time. I can't get enough of that sort of stuff. And that's what kind of, when you look at some of the things that you've done with Tyrells, with Chase, with Willy's, and the interaction I've had with people under your brands over the last sort of 10 years or so, I feel in certain individuals I'm thinking about now, without naming too many names, I feel that passion. I feel that authenticity. It's not about the job, it's about being part of something.
That's really warming to hear that, because you do worry when you're doing it. It's such a lonely place when you're out there and you think, you know, all this success and everything's going well, but you do, as you said earlier, you do feel so lonely that you do. There's no wicked witch in the woods that will give you advice. There's no oracle. There's nothing.
Who'd you go for advice?
Who'd you go? There isn't anybody. Only smarties have the answer. Yeah. You know, all my life I've looked for these. I've looked for these answers. Should we go left or right? Should we do this? Should we do that? Should we set up another brand beside Tyrrell so we can go and sell cheaper to supermarkets? Or what should we do? You know, because we can. But nobody has the answers. That's the one thing I think.
Tyrrell's is really, really, really interesting. The way that you've gone about Tyrrell's. So the high level elements of Tyrrell's that you read online in the press and stuff, you know, built the business from nothing, turned over 13-14 million quid, sold it, you made quite a considerable amount of money on that. The press say that, you know, you sold your majority stake in that and made 30 odd million quid yourself. You know, it's a high end brand, you know, that you sort of focused in a market with the likes of Selfridges, Harrods, F&M, other brands, and you kind of stayed away from the main players, the supermarket brands and stuff like that. So take us through your kind of transition from your potato farming to thinking there's an opportunity here to go and do something special in quite a niche. How did it all come about?
It probably came back from, I was desperate to escape. I was a potato trader. As I said, I had phones as big as house bricks. I'd have a couple of them. I'd have angry farmers onto me all the time. If the traders fallen, they'd want to shift their spuds quick, and if it was going up, they wouldn't want to sell them. So it's a really tough place to be. So I really desperately wanted to get out of that sphere. Yeah, and that was. But I wouldn't have done to it if I hadn't have gone bust and I hadn't been a potato trader. Then one day I had all these I had 10 loads of spuds on lorries, nowhere for them to go. They're all going rotten. The farmer wouldn't have them back. They were melting out the bottom, and then they went into kettle chips, and kettle chips in those days were great big thick jaw breakers. Yeah. And they just bought them because they didn't care about the quality. They just wanted something that would fry into these big thick door slabs, you know, so they wouldn't mind if they were dark. So that was probably my eureka moment then, my first eureka moment, which I went and bought this packet of those things called Cape Cod coming over from America. And they were these lovely fresh chips. I thought, well, if we could make that, if they can buy this old stuff, we could buy that. So that was probably my eureka moment then to do that. My second eureka moment with Tyrrell's, once we got all the kit in and got it going, was I used to have a whole lot of Eastern Europeans who used to work on the farm, these lovely guys, and they were brought up, what we were saying earlier, they were brought up to work 18, 20 hours a day, these boys and girls, amazing people. They would like cook their supper in the fryers, or they'd have an oven, they'd be cooking liver and onions in the corner of the factory late at night, then they'd go back to work and clean the factory. Just phenomenal. They could never do too much. But they started cooking vegetables and things in the corner of the fryer for their supper, and they kept saying, Mr. William, we should be doing these, and you know, we should get into these veggie chips. Yeah. So we did that, and that just rocketed the business. So instead of selling Tyrrell's standard potato chips for like £12,000 a ton, we were then selling beetroot chips for £24,000 a ton at the same cost. So as the Tyrrell's was growing, its actual margin was going through. We were up to about 40, 45, and not EBIT or anything. This is like net profit, net cash. It was just, you know. So it's once you get that.
And that moment came from interaction with these guys.
So you've got to be in it to win it. Wow. And if you want to be, you know, if you want to be there, if you're just dreaming, looking for your widget, you'll never find it. But if I hadn't gone bankrupt and I hadn't gone back as a potato trader, that wouldn't have got me into Tyrrell's. And another, you know, there was so many stories of different times meeting different people by chance that. And so you've got to be in it to win it. I think if you sit at home, you get nothing. But if you get in it, and so there are so many people who want to become an entrepreneur, and they're looking for their widget, and they're over-analysing where the market is. I don't think you'll ever find it like that. All your stories you do have been, someone's been here, they've been triggered by this, they've been unhappy here or whatever, and it's sort of, moves them away.
Do you think that success then, based on that, do you think the success comes from the skill or the luck?
Well, that's we could talk about that one for the next few years, I think. It's so I have got a conclusion on that now, and the only way you can work that is 50-50. And I think it's 50% luck and 50% management. And from Bill Gates to Jobs to whoever you listen talk about this one in their lives, how they've got to where they've got to, even people like Warren Buffett, whoever you talk to, whoever you listen to, I think it's 50-50. I think the only way you can ever get around this one is 50-50. Because we make our own luck. If we're not there, you've got to be in it to win it. You've got to be stumbling on it. And because the other thing is, you talked before about, it's like downtime. It's time on your own as well. And different people you've spoken to is time out. They say if you're suffering mentally or something, you talk to yourself and all this different things. So, but it's just how you inspire and how you come across it. Because there's thousands of ideas in the graveyards everywhere, but it's ideas into action is it. So but I just summarise that. I'd say you've got to be in it to win it. It's like market resource. A lot of people pay for a lot of market research. Like when we sold Tyrells, Unilever wanted to do a survey on market research. Who was Tyrrell's buyer? I knew who Tyrrell's buyer was because I was on the coalface dealing with all those little independents, and I was right there at the front of it. I knew everything about it. I'd learned it as a chapter in my life. I could tell you about free fatty acids and oils and how the whole thing worked, but I knew who the customer was because I dealt directly through them, and I used to love the letters. Tyrells, we used to get something like 20, 30 letters every day. People, once you get like you groupie, once you get the following, and they'll tell you everything you need to know. Good companies, they're getting testimonials, people believe it. As you were saying about the bed, that they'll all love to write to you and tell you about all that stuff. So I'd say it's 50-50. But you've got to be in it to start with. You listen to every success story or every story, like take James Dyson starting out the wheelbarrow and then how that got clearing out the wheelbarrow, got him into the Hoover, that got him into the bagless Hoover. So nobody plans this. It's like when we're 18, we don't plan our life, who we're going to meet, where we're going to be, what we're going to do. Yeah. You just meet all these different people. And that's why I love these stories and the journeys of how we can mould our own lives into a different way, and we can all work smarter and not harder. But at the same time, I still think you need a bit of pain and you need to go through those corners.
Do you know what? That's absolutely true. And do you know what never ceases to amaze me? And I think the older I get, the more I think about this, is that how sometimes these little things that seemingly at the time are completely meaningful, whether it be a conversation with somebody or meeting somebody or a chat or something you watch or an negative experience, a positive experience you have, can be the bit of luck or chance that means that you are successful and your direction of your life completely changes. You finding that additional double margin by doing beetroot chips rather than normal chips come from a conversation with somebody on the shop floor. If
I wasn't in there working with them myself, I never would even know those guys were cooking their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But you've taken the time to go in there and look and deal at that level and have those conversations. A lot of owners you might look wouldn't even step foot on the shop floor. They wouldn't have been able to engage that conversation and wouldn't have had that idea, and somebody else would have done it.
Exactly.
And it's those elements where I think, yes, it's luck, but I think you do to a degree make your own luck.
You do.
By investing time in people. And because you can only have a certain amount of ideas as one, but if you've engaged with 50 people and you're giving them an environment to feel comfortable, because that guy felt comfortable in giving you that information. But if you're a tyrant and you're not approachable, then they wouldn't have had wouldn't have been making food in there in the first place. So it's crazy when you think about those little details.
And it's like lots of little things you don't, I could talk for hours about this, but it's like one of my biggest. When I started Tyrells, I had this girl that was going to come and do sales, and after the second day, she said, "I need 10 people working for me. I've got to go out and do this, this, and this." And then all went horribly wrong, and she left. So I was on my own then. So I got my car, I got my Land Rover then, filled up with chips every day. There was no Google, so I got the yellow pages, and I'd find farm shops in every part, and I learned so much in those 2 months. Around them. Every single day, I did the whole country, and I went round, and I found where the honey pots is around London. And Esher and places like that, there'd be 10 farm shops. You know where the money was, and up in Cheshire. But what that taught me, I went one day into a store, and it was just a cafe, and I was walking up the road, and it was a beautiful cafe, well done. It was like a small deli. Yeah. And this lady was in there, and she had 3 people in front of her, and she was serving one customer. The next one was a guy in a suit, and he was from this company, and he was trying to sell her his staff, and she said, "You can fuck off for a start." And so I thought, wow, shall I go now, or shall I stay here? Yeah. And so I waited my turn. Like I said, so I see you having a bad day. I said, "Here's a box of chips." I said, "And if you like them, give me a ring. My number's on there. Goodbye." And I was out through the door. And she rang me back later, and she's "I'm ever so sorry. I'm never swear, and I'm never like that." She said, "But I've had enough of this business." She said, "I've got the bread hasn't come for the sandwiches. My staff haven't turned up. Somebody's been sick on the floor. Somebody's ruined this, and then I've got some shiny suit salesman in front of me trying to sell me something." She said, "I'm trying to sell stuff to other people." So she said, "I'm ever so sorry. I love your product, and I'll stock them, and I'll get as many people, and I love your attitude." So that taught me that you've got to go to customers as one. You've got to treat them as your friends. You mustn't go and treat them like machines or objects. But that exactly sums up.
It's that personable approach, I think, isn't it?
But you learn yourself then. You've got to be in the trenches. You've got to be down there with the business.
Is it tough to keep that personal approach as a business scales? Because obviously, Tyrrells scaled to £14 million turnover.
Fantastic point, yes. Because I gave it everything, then starting the next business, you think, well, do I have to go down do I have to go and do all this again? I'm getting older, and do I want to be, doing 18-hour days and doing this? So that's the biggest question: is how do you incentivize and get people, which I struggle with as I get older more and more now, is to find young entrepreneurs. I never used to like the entrepreneur word, but I accept it now, because I think an entrepreneur is a solution finder.
Yeah.
And I think a good entrepreneur, so I'm looking for entrepreneurs to come and work for us. People that want to probably have their own business one day or do their own thing, but they're coming to you with solutions. So every day, you said it's a lonely place in a business because you feel the world's at war with you, and everybody wants a piece of you, and it's tough, isn't it? It's a war. And if you've got people on your side that are coming to you with solutions, rather than people saying, no, or the customer says no. You never want to hear the customer says no. I never want to hear anybody say to me, well, the supermarket's going to think about it and they're going to have a range review in 6 months, 12 months. Don't ever even say that to me. All I want you to do is to think about, what are we going to do to tickle that buyer to go? And probably now, with the world slipping off a bit, it's going to be harder than ever before to sell things.
Yeah.
But I think a true entrepreneur finds a solution.
Yeah, I think that's a massive trait, isn't it? Because you have people that will work for your business, but the more people you can have that find a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Because every day there's something that will cock up, something that won't work, and it's kind of find a way.
And
as an owner, that's I love people. I depend and value the people in our businesses that figure it out. That they might not have all the answers, and they might not make the decision or whatever, but that come and say, okay, this has happened. I'm like, right, okay. Because the next question I'm going to ask is, how can we fix it? What are we doing? And that actually come with something to table other than just, we've got a fucking problem, Aaron. This customer's this. It's we had some around an install, quite a large install that we were doing across 12 sites independently this year. And there's been massive issues, supply chain issues. Actually, nothing that I can hand on my heart say that we've done massively wrong. But we take the flak because we're the guy that's in contract with the customer. Irrespective of the 6 companies, the BTs and the Vodafones and the Virgins of this world that have gone and cocked it all up and not sent engineers and sent the wrong kit. But it's, what are we doing to fix that? How can we learn from that? How can we
make things better?
How can we make... Because this guy wants his internet in his office. He's got people moving in. Yeah. If I was moving into an office with no internet, that wouldn't be acceptable. That'd be one thing I really, really don't need, because everything runs on the internet. What do I need to do to get this guy internet? Today, I don't care, Sunday. Yeah. We work 24/7. The business supports 24/7 because we choose to, because business don't stop. No. And we need to operate, and we need to give this guy a solution. So if you're going to come to me and say, we've got an issue, at least have 3 or 4 ideas around what we can do, and then I can support that individual with a little bit of knowledge, maybe my take on the situation, and then we'll make a decision. And he might make a decision, I might make a decision, we'll make it together, and then we'll go 150% and try and see if that works. If it doesn't work, we'll find another way.
Absolutely.
You've got to find a way. There's always a way.
There is. There is always a way. There's always a solution.
Yeah.
And that's part of your big belief, that there's always a solution. So if you surrounded yourself with positive people, you're all positive together, you will find a solution for it. But if you've got negatives, you think, well...
I'll tell you what is difficult is when you do have the pressures, the people, the financial pressures, customer pressures, and you roll all those up, or personal pressures, or health, it's very difficult to see. It's harder to see the solution.
It's a lonely place then, isn't it?
Crikey, it's a lonely place.
And everybody looks at you as if you're the great God that you've got it, and it is a tough one, isn't it? It's making that call. It's all about going left and right, and you look at all the stories. And how do you make that call? How do you know when to go left? How do you know when to go right? There's no book of rules again.
No,
You've got to back it by a hunch. You've got to do it from a gut feel. You can't do it by analysts or asking other people. If you don't know, if you're at the front, you're called in charge. You're doing it. You've got to.
You need to be seen to know all the answers, but the reality is you probably don't have them.
If you don't, you've still got to be positive. And then, because if you show weakness, they all say, well, what are we doing here? It's a bit like the thing with Forrest Gump when he stops running, and he goes off and says, no, you're not going because you brought us here. We're all Nigel Farage when he took the Brexit and he said, I'm off now. And you think, well, crikey, you got us to this point. You can't go now because you've got to take us through it. Yeah.
So with Tyrells then, fantastic journey, great business, and you ended up doing very well out of that business and selling your estate, like we said, for about 30 million quid. What was the feeling when you finished your journey regarding with Tyrells? What was the kind of plan after that? How did you feel about doing that?
Very sobering, really, because I thought I was probably a lot more arrogant then. I thought I had a divine right. I thought I could go and do it again. I could do it with anything. So it really did show me in life, made me humble. I think if I hadn't sold it, I'd have been, when I look at pictures of myself, I was probably overweight and I was quite arrogant and I was quite... I was thinking success, I can see it for a lot of people now. That's why I'm against the whole Dragon's Den thing and this whole entrepreneurs have a divine right. They don't. There's, to every one success, there's thousands that fail. Yeah. And there's lots of people that fail that deserve to succeed as well. They were just unlucky at the wrong time.
Yeah.
They're brilliant
so many
people.
factors. Yeah.
And so it made me a massive reality for my life. I think it's... And they say about regrets and things. So, I have massive regrets because like Tyrells, when I built it, I laid all the concrete in the yards and everything myself by hand and built the buildings and gone out and bought all the fryers and sourced them from the packaging machines to everything.
So your blood, sweat and tears is wrapped up in that business.
All the best customers.
That must be very
I'd seen all the best customers around the world. One thing that Tyrells taught me was I had this yearn to travel. So the first thing it gave me was an excuse. Once I got the factory going, I went to every country in the world. And it just amazed me how many chips we sold in Greece on the ferries between the islands. We'd sell Arctic container loads. Russia, we sell tons of crisps to Russia. America was always a tough one to crack. But I made it my point, as a little farmer boy, to go around the whole world and go and see everybody. And the first thing it taught me was I went to America and I thought when I was buying all the kit for Tyrells, and as I said, there's no Google, so you had to fly out there and physically feel around in the dark who's going to supply and where you're going to buy it from. And what it taught me was the world is all different. I thought the Americans are like us. They're nothing like us at all. I thought we'd just go and deal with them. Nothing, completely different. Even now with the spirits, with the distillery, trying to sell spirits over there, completely different to us. Even with the healthy products now, that's probably, since social media, the one thing I learned with the distillery is the world with social media now, if you've got, say, bars around the world, they're all having Negronis, all the healthy foodies now, they're all having sort of the same gut health shots, and they're all sort of into ginger, turmeric, ACV. They're all in the same sphere. So the world has changed so much in my time, like seeing the loss of the Queen, to have somebody like that in our life that put the country and their job before everything else. That's quite, and how that was resonated around the world, the respect around the world. So I think it's that's probably being very selfish now, but the one thing Tyrells gave me was the fact to go around the world. And the nice thing with Tyrells, my day finished at 5, whereas when I had the distillery, went around the world trying to sell spirits. It would sort of start almost at 5. You'd have to go around all the best bars, and all these mixologists trying to make you all these drinks, and it's...
So how did you go from, you sold your stake in Tyrells, you obviously had capital, that was sort of 2008, then you created Chase Distillery, which...
It was Tyrells to start with. It was Tyrells who were making vodka in the Chase chip factory to start with.
So there was a period of kind of
still. And like when I did Tyrells, I found a family in America, 14 brothers, and they weren't quite Amish. They were Mennonites, so they got power and things. But these guys, 14 brothers, made all the kit, the fryers and things. No computers. Everything was all done by trips and switches, and it was all mechanical. Yeah. And they're still the same fryers today. And they didn't just sell me the kit. They flew over and they taught our guys on the farm how to fry them, how to do it, the difference between a chip and a crisp, and how to do it all properly. Same again with the distillery. I met this family in Germany that have been going for 300 years now, making stills and been in business. And they came over and they supplied the kit. They gave us courses. They taught us all about distilling stuff from scratch. and that's priceless to get people to do that, to because you want to learn a lot of, it's like going back to school again. You learn the whole art of frying, to then go and learn the whole art of fermenting and distilling. That's one thing. When I did the next chapter, I took the whole art of fermenting over into like Willy's, and we already knew about fermenting and like fermenting live foods, but I think going back to our conversation we had earlier, it's like enough is never enough information. And if you're like you are, and you get up early in the morning and you want to be creative and you want to do these things, there's just so much in the world to learn. It's amazing how much. And can you put too much information in there that what do you lose when you start,
doesn't bear thinking about.
It doesn't, does it? And what's what I find fascinating about a lot of entrepreneurs is finding a subject, learning it, and the best ones learn it really well. That's their subject. If they're at school, if it's history is their subject, they would know. Yeah, they would hit it, wouldn't they?
So why did you go from? So what was the goal and the passion for the distillery? So Chase Distillery, Chase Vodka, Williams Gin. What was the?
Just greed, I think. I probably thought I had a divine right to make. I thought I could do the same in the spirits world that I did with the chips. So we made. Tyrrell started with pedigree. It wasn't just stories. We actually put the field name on there. We put the potato variety on there. Who fried it? It had the whole story. Pedigree. People loved that to start with, and the quality of them. And then as we started getting to supermarkets and more mass market, we put the black and white images on. So we went to that eccentric images. So really then, we wouldn't have to worry about the pedigree so much. We just put a different black and white image. Yeah. I got into a lot of trouble with those. I probably wouldn't have asked for permission. I've always found it's probably better to be asking for forgiveness than asking for permission, because people can say no. So we had some wonderful black and white images to start with. And if they're funny enough, that just sold it. That and a new flavour, done. And they were known as the posh chips. So that's what sort of helped sell it. Then the distillery, I thought, wow, nobody's doing this with gin and vodka. There was Grey Goose had just been sold for $2 billion. There was Belvedere, and there were all these other vodkas. But none of them talked about where they came from. They were just like industrial
just a brand,
spirit. They were just a brand. So I thought, wow, if we could put the same pedigree into spirits. But it was a great idea, worked really hard at it, but the secret was that when somebody is drinking a gin and tonic or a vodka and tonic or whatever, or cocktails, do they care? They'd far rather be in the beach club or dressed up having cocktails than they would worry about this rainy farm in the middle of Herefordshire where they had made all the stuff from scratch. So that's probably why I got that wrong. I thought we could make a brand of gin and vodka where people cared about how it was made and where it's made.
Do you think people did care?
No, you had all of even the wine critics and all the critics. I always said, if you want to know about something, if you want to know about wine or you want to know about product, ask the producer. There's a saying in the wine world: ask the people who put the corks in, not pull the corks out. So if somebody's done their masters in wine, they'll tell you all about it. But the person that'll really tell you all about wine is the guy that grew it and the guy that made it. And that's, if you want to learn about chickens, don't go and ask a nutritionist. Ask a chicken farmer. They'll tell you about all the antibiotics and everything they stuffed into them or whatever they've got in and how they're done. So it's all about knowledge. But I think, however clever you think you are, it's always after the event. You've succeeded. Yeah. And the other thing is, I don't think I have no regrets, because I think it's a chapter. I've had chapters in life. Yeah. And it's like, rather than singing the same song, I thought when I was about 30, I thought, I don't want to get to 60, and I've done the same thing, and all I got to talk about is that was a good year, that was a bad year, growing spuds, and I've done this, and we've been to some nice places on holiday. How boring that would be. Yeah. But to actually bring a brand to life I love my children very much. They're obviously my first priority. But to bring a brand to life is like bringing a child into this world, and how you dress it and how it behaves, and it has its own character. And to get a brand to go into the world is a phenomenal thing. You easily have a Frankenstein, but you've got to create this. Yeah. So
it's perverse you say that, because I didn't think you'd answer the question in that way. It's as if you look at the Chase experience as, because of the Tyrrell's success, you look at the Chase experience in a more negative way, albeit an experience, but not as successful. Because when I think about Chase and Williams Gin and stuff like that, because I've bought into that brand, and I personally love the story. Yeah. If I don't think
you might have been a brand junkie before.
Maybe
you might have been in there before.
No, I don't think I was. I think I wanted to drink Chase because I believed in the story.
But you're quite and you're.
There's not been a time, William, in the last 10 years where I haven't had more than one bottle of your stuff in in the house, and my partner will testify to that.
Really?
And there's one bottle in particular that I don't drink very often that I've still got today. It's nearly gone. There's about that much left. And I only get it out on rare occasions because I like the bottle and I like the meaning behind it. It's got it's a vodka. It's been distilled in whiskey caskets for a period of time. Yeah. And if you look at the back of the bottle, there's a big copper emblem, metal copper emblem at the back that shows how many bottles were made in the batch, what bottle number it was, who bottled it, and all this stuff. And I keep it because I like the story of it. And when I drink it, I think about that.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not the same as a person. Look, I've also drunk your vodka in a bar and threw it down my neck and got pissed. So it's peaks and troughs. But I certainly do understand. But maybe because I'm looking for it. I don't know.
But there's not enough like you in the world that, it was like they'd rather have Puff Daddy on it and have coconut vodka or something like that. You'll have in shots in Magaluf. That would probably go far better than something. You are quite unique there for the audience. But the majority, when they're drinking gin and vodka, if they're drinking whiskey, it's a little bit different. They like the aging and they like the barrels.
Yeah.
But wine is a different story altogether. Wine, they love the terroir and the grapes and how it's made and the whole romance of how it's done. It's beautiful. But spirits, and I got that wrong, and that's.
So do you look at that Chase experience?
Some people say no, you did well. You built a brand and got it and sold it, but I made the best gin in the world. That's the bit that I made a gin that nobody could match in the world, and I tried to get everybody to drink it neat. That Elegant gin was just the most phenomenal. If you look at Penfolds, is a well-known wine brand. They got Penfolds Grange, which had all the tickets, which sells for $100 a bottle. That was our Penfolds Grange, but even better. That was our Chem. You couldn't have copied that gin anywhere. It had the 300-year-old apples in it. It had the pedigree. It has every batch was distilled to perfection. It wasn't filtered or anything. You could drink it neat. It was 50%, and you could drink it neat.
48%.
And it was beautiful. A phenomenal gin. And you got 48 rare apple varieties it was made out of with the tannins in it. You could taste in it, but nobody got it.
Quick word from one of our sponsors, Guru Technology. Simply put, they're the highest Google-rated company in their industry. A very different service and a very different set of products covering business-to-business mobiles, phone systems, energy, renewables and EV, security, CCTV, alarms, AMPR, broadband and IT. They specialise in dealing with companies who are receiving really poor service and spending a lot of money currently with their supplier. They will come to site, do a free of charge audit and fix any problems that you're having. So if you've got problems with your current supply chain, search Guru Technology in Google and give them a buzz. Thank you. Let's get back to the podcast.
Nobody got it. And then once you bring the corporates into the business, all they're thinking about is their Ferraris, and they're selling it cheap and getting it into supermarkets and smashing it out. And so it probably fizzled out. But that was probably the most... If you said all the things you've made in your life so far until I started making this, that would have been my... we made some amazing whiskies and some amazing age. No difference in that vodka you were saying about than a lot of whiskies, because the way it's been made, and it's probably better. But as a farmer, I can get too wrapped up, and that's my problem. I get in the floor too much, and you should take the spanners off me and keep me out of the factory and out of there, because I love getting in there and getting involved and making it.
But that's probably why the product was so good, I think.
I think so, and it's that love and that
It's
attention.
the same as Grenade and Alan Barrett.
Yeah.
I was speaking to him on LinkedIn the other day, and we exchanged some messages and talked about, if you look at his story, that his stuff at a time where protein shakes and stuff tasted like shit and were lumpy and all this stuff. When his brand came out, you could tell he spent years perfecting recipes. You could tell, because it actually tasted nice. In all the products, I still eat them and drink them today. They taste nice. My fridge has got 20 of them in, as well as got some of this in.
And that's the story.
But you can tell.
Yeah. And probably the best one is probably Steve Jobs. The way he used to change the colour inside those, and the early Apple Macs and things used to have different colours inside them. And everybody said, you're crazy, because it's only the engineers that see inside these hoods of these computers.
Yeah.
But that's who he wanted to impress. He wanted to impress the engineers, that they own those things when they came in to an Apple workshop. And I think that's the magic. That's the thing. You lost James Dyson. He knew everything about everything he makes. Even the Bamford family, until probably about making JCBs and things. If you've got that tenacity, but it's so much to sell to so many people that are just walking through a door and wanting to buy. It's that get rich quick sort of thing. How you can.
So when you look at your Chase journey, do you look at that in a more negative way than positive?
Yeah.
Why?
Probably because I've been ill since, so I've had, I've had quite a big operation last year. Lost a lot of my stomach for a tumour, and so I'm quite heavily now into, once my light went out on the horizon for a little bit, and you start talking about mortality and something, and it was the morning of my father's funeral, and I had a call saying you've got to have life-changing surgery, and you've got to come in and we've got to cut all this out of your stomach, and it just puts a different view on life. But it's and I've talked to lots of other people who had it, and 50% of us get cancer as well in all different ways. And some people it takes them out straight away. Some people live the rest of their life. So it's I don't that's why I don't really like talking about that one so much. But then alcohol, I've seen alcohol from the bad side as well, and I could very easily become a sucker to it as well.
Yeah.
And it's, you don't realise how bad alcohol is on society. And I had a lot of wine critics and people that would say that in the gin boom, how many families would have, they wouldn't just have a gin and tonic years ago was like a little measure, like the minis you get in a mini bar.
Not like that now.
Not like
glug,
that.
glug, 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 yeah.
In it goes. So you've got two fairly professionals living together. They're doing very well. He's earning money and she's, or they both are earning, they're both doing well. They get home from work. First thing they do is have a gin and tonic. And quite often it's a family size, glug, glug. Yeah. A big one, and then they'll put the kids to bed, or they'll do their homework, and then they'll have dinner, and they'll probably have half a bottle or a bottle of wine as well. So that the amount of volume of alcohol that people drink is pretty, and seeing it from that side, everybody that work in the industry, it is. I don't want to appear too righteous and too.
Yeah.
But it's not a place I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And
was that the reason why you wanted to kind of change direction?
Yeah, I think so. And then you get different people. You listen to different people how they've sort of given up, and then you get some people like a few famous actors. I've been listening to them. They say, I got to 60. I think I've had my fair share now, and you can never understand how they give up. But giving up alcohol is things like prohibition in America. When they reckon in America, Henry Ford reckoned he get 35% more output out of all his Ford empire if they didn't drink. So, and you look at in the UK, you look at all the social unrest and something on weekends now when people start to drink, or they go and when with the distillery once, so I was in Ibiza in the left hand side of the island, and there was a sign up outside this one bar saying a pint of vodka €9. And it's only like not long ago, it's only a few years ago. So I had to go in there and ask him. I said, who buys a pint of? He said, we get lots of English guys come in, they buy a pint of vodka and they share it between themselves, or sometimes they'll drink this. And I thought, well, that's just like it is. So it is. Alcohol is almost like our legal poison. Is like our legal drug, isn't it? That is. But I'm not trying to be too. But there's a place for me in my life where I had great fun building it. I love building it. It was the world's first single estate distillery. We actually grew the stuff on the farm, fermented it, distilled it. Fantastic business, and it still holds that pedigree. And it was, would I want to be doing that for the rest of, it's like frying chips. It seems great. Tyrrells, lovely, clean, smart brand. But you go in there and the stink of fryers, everybody would have grease in their hair. You'd be on the floors. It was like, it's like every year or so you're getting carcinogen warnings that people are going to get cancer from eating crisps and fried foods. And it's, the saturated fats on them are not. So it is industrial processed food. So without sounding too righteous, it's quite nice. I've not met Jesus on it, but I have changed a lot, and so I'm probably falling out. And there's another side to this as well, as I think the more you do, the more you want. Like it gets. I don't know if I do another one after this. I think this will be my last. But my objective with this is to get a bottle of Willy's into every single house in the world. I love to do with Willy's what Tabasco is, but it's actually a live, good for you sauce. Yeah. But I look at it. You could have that conversation again about selling Tyrrells. I own 100% of it. We're making 4 or 5 million. We're buying a farm every year. We're making a lot of money. It sold itself. The phone just rang. We found the magic with Tyrrells straight away. As soon as we started cooking and we were off to the races, the phone was ringing. Yeah. It just had the magic and it worked. And more aggressive you got with it, the more you put in, the more you could get to sell. When I started the distillery, my first meeting with Waitrose, and we almost owned 3 meters of the Waitrose counters because Tyrrells, they're making more money at Tyrrells than anything else, and Waitrose were a fantastic partner with Tyrrells. And then I went in there then with the vodka, and they said, well, we sell 1 bottle of Grey Goose a week per store. And I thought, wow, this is going to be a slow,
a little bit more of a
slow one, And then
so with Chase, then did you? So when that business sold, So if you're looking at kind of comparisons between Tyrrells and Chase in terms of you personally, what did you do pretty well out of Chase, or was it?
Okay. It was okay. It's the thing is, when you sell a business, when you cash just evaporates, cash just goes. If you've got something that's really special, If I was, I know we don't have regrets, but if I was going to have regrets, I'd put my life into. I went through the bankruptcy, trying to hold Tyrrells court and trying to keep the whole thing together and make it. And I was a bit of a stupid fool to sell it, because it was just, it was just fantastic. It was just a beautiful brand. As I said, I probably built most of the sheds by hand myself, got involved with everything. I can tell you where every corner, had the fryers where I could go in there and switch it all on and work it myself, and it was just so easy. Easy to do. And the customers, I got all the customers. But looking at them both, when you build a brand, it is like a human being. When you've got a brand on the shelf, and it's a beautiful brand, and you're lucky enough to make, I think Tyrrells, at my first meeting with Waitrose, the guy said, "This will never sell. You're wasting your time. Can't even spell the name. I can't even pronounce the name. And the crisps are probably a bit greasy and they're too thick, or this is wrong and that's wrong. Don't waste my time." And it was only like when I went out through the door, I didn't even talk about the parsnip crisps and that. It was only when I went out the door, I met the CEO's PA as we were walking across the street back to the car park, that told her about it. And the next day we had a phone call and we had a listing in there. So it was. Talk about luck and talk about, you
had to be there.
You make your own. You've got to be in the trenches with it. You've got to be running it. But it's more than, you talk to anybody with brands, and it's more than just money. It's not money thing at all. In fact, it's that. I was in Fortnum Mason's once. I got these naked chips. I did get into trouble with those later, because it was a picture of like a Nazi experiment. Apparently, these naked ladies.
Right,
I didn't know, because I just used to stick pictures on the packets. But there was this little old lady that was there. She was at the till in front of me, and she bought this packet. And when her husband came to her, she had to pull this packet out, and they both had a little laugh. And I thought, that's fantastic. They saw this packet and they picked it up off the shelf without, and that's selling a product, isn't it? About having something that. And that's more satisfying. That's like your kids. When your kids are doing well, it's a great achievement.
So what's the dream with Willy's then?
With Willy's, is the ultimate. This is now, I want to get a bottle into every single household, every kitchen, every fridge in the world. Anybody that's got a bottle of Tabasco or a bottle of anything similar, or even Heinz tomato ketchup, is to have a bottle of Willy's. And
so tell people a bit about what some of the Willy's product portfolio are, and the sort of story behind it, because it's a very strong story behind.
So the story behind Willy's was the fact that when I bought the farm I live on now, I found we'd got these like 300-year-old orchards that had never been touched. So this land has been there since the 17th century map. All the names of these fields have had the same apple. So never seen sprays, never seen fertilisers. And I met this thing called the Mother about 4 or 5 years ago. I had this other idea about making popcorn, so I was going to make popcorn. So I was trying to sell it to something like Whole Foods, and they said, "No, you don't want to be doing that. You want to be doing the stuff you're actually putting on that popcorn, the cider vinegar. You want to be making that." So I found this live mother, this 300-year-old mother, and then I found the benefits from it. And then I was probably overweight, so I needed a catalyst in my life. So me being really selfish, that got me into it. And then I found the whole gut health thing. I got very into that, fermenting live foods, the whole sort of kombucha, kimchi, kraut, cider vinegar, and that sort of turned and that again, being the farmer in me, got the passion of wanting to grow it. I never thought I'd be growing cabbages after Tyrrells to ferment into kraut, and as cider apples to make into vinegar. But it's very rewarding making something that is actually good and is a necessity. So if you're taking something to your desert island, you could take a bottle of Willy's ACV with you, and you could do it from your warts or nail infestations to cleaning your windows if you had any, or your dishwasher, to everything. It literally does a lot, and your whole lowering your blood sugars. So and whereas if you took a bottle of CBD or something like anything else on a new trend, you wouldn't know what to do with it. So to me, it's an exciting product to make. It's been around since Roman times. So to find the magic with it, we've just got to find our twist on it, that ours is different to all others. Ours has a live mother. So I said the third brand I'd build, I wouldn't build a factory, and I'd outsource it. I'd do a Red Bull. Red Bull's never put any money into production. They just put all their money into marketing. Like the last one with Red Bull now, they did, what did they do with that man up on the balloon? They spent 55 million on this man jumping out of a balloon. And in a return in sales, that gave them nearly 2 billion in sales. Wow. Isn't that just like
incredible? And
so Red Bull have never spoken about building factories and things. So here am I building my factory again. But I couldn't get anybody to make it for me. So the USP was making this product is nobody else can ferment our mother, because all mothers are different. So if we took our cider somewhere else, there'd be a war of the mothers, and they'd all fall out, and it would turn out wrong. So we had to build the thing to do this mother. But it's a fantastic space. But the hardest part is selling health and wellness. But the amount of gym bunnies and the amount of people that are going to the gym, look at things like Lululemons, even things like Gymshark. It is quite it's a space, the whole fitness space. However you look at it, whether it's like protein bars or protein shakes or whatever, it's a huge space.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you can have a natural product that fits in with that and those lives, lots of people as well want to lose weight. I spent years talking about losing weight and trying to get fit, but you'll kick it down the road and do it tomorrow, and you'll have a few more bottles of wine, or you'll have you'll have all those chips and all that other stuff. But it's having a catalyst in your life. So the community, brands are built on community today. It's all about social media, it's all about digital, but it's just finding out, looking for the magic with it to get that link.
So for someone that's someone that started a business, sold a business, started a business, sold a business, and had a successful career and experienced a lot of stuff, some people would look at this and think, well, you could probably turn your hand to any next business and find it quite easy. It's not always that simple.
No.
What are the biggest challenges that you're facing at the moment with Willy's?
My brain, my mind, probably. I think you could learn so much stuff. You can do so much. People, trying to get people to join in. Because a lot of people come and they think, oh, you've got a divine right, I'll come and work for you. You can afford it, and let's just come and. I don't want that.
Exist.
I don't want that. Yeah. I want to start from nothing. I want to be humble with this business, and I want people to buy it because they get it, they love it, they get into it. No, it's nobody has a divine right. I love people like, as I said earlier, I love Marcel Courreau that's done Beauty Pie and Serpent Glory, and it takes so much energy. It takes so much to bring a brand to life and to get everybody to join into it.
So just on that point next, I think this is really, really important, actually. I've not even got it written down. For people that don't run a business, don't have any aspirations to run a business at all, you mentioned there around what it takes to create something special, create a business. Can you just try and summarise in maybe a minute or so what that feels like from an owner, whether you've got money or you haven't, creating something from nothing, how difficult that is, what it does to you as an individual, but also the positives of maybe getting to that promised land and getting to where you want to be, for somebody that maybe isn't tuned in to want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, are they born or are they made? But I think that's a hell of a question. That's a great question, isn't it? Because it's what makes people tick. It's what makes you go, and I just think it's always trying to find something better. Always trying to find, if you're in that space, you want to try and find something better. So if you're not that person and you're contented, the best way I can liken this is to there was somebody I was in, which had helped me a lot, a fantastic friend, Bill Tyrells. But once we built the first factory and we got to 5 million, making 2 million profit out of 5 million turnover, he said, what do you want to build a new factory for? He said, you're mad. You're crazy. You could just... And I suppose that's one of my turning points in my life. And I probably was mad. I probably should have just kept that factory and just, waltzed around. But it's that drive. And as you said, you suffer from that as well. And it's just feeding it, I guess. So to explain it to people that it looks really, really easy, but you look at my face and how it's aged me, and it's just incredible how much effort it takes, how much it does take it out of you, doesn't it? It's whether you put that in front of it's your priorities, I guess, because to make it work, to make a brand work, you can't do it 95%. You can't do it 98%. You've got to give it. Tyrells was such a success because I gave it 100%, and it wasn't going to fail. And when you do something, and whatever happens, it's going to work. That's how I think you've got to do it. You look at so many things. If you aim to get something perfect, you'll end up with it somewhere near. If you do casual and you aim to get it somewhere near, you'll end up with a disaster. Yeah. So it's... And you talk about the luck. Luck's a fantastic one as well, whether how much luck is in it or not. But it's like emotion. I think I'm quite an emotional person as well. And like music, if I could have done something else, and one regret in my life is I never played the piano. I'd love to be able to play the piano. I bought a fantastic piano, but I still can't play it. But I just love to be able to. So I think I'm quite an emotional person. I think I'm quite inspired by particular music, but bringing a brand to life and putting it on the market is just a phenomenal experience, especially if it's like a food and drink. People do it with fashion brands. It's quite incredible, isn't it? Fashion brands, like look at the rise and fall of Burberry, how that new guy, what's his name, he's just come in there now to do that. It's amazing where that's going to go next. But I think you've got to do it. It's a sentence. I think it is a sentence. It's a life, like you said, what you've got. When you get up in the morning and once. They're like the monkeys on that roundabout, aren't they? You get one that starts shouting about
it's
one
just
thing,
tough, isn't it? Because if you look at it one day, you could think, oh, this guy, he sold his businesses, he's a millionaire, he's got this and that and whatever. But then there's always another side. And I think that's what really annoys me about social media, especially nowadays, is it shows all your good points. It shows all the great stuff, all the stories around the success and the office, the holidays, the cars, the money, all these byproducts. But it doesn't tell you anything about what that guy is. It doesn't tell you anything about you in your 20s pulling 30,000 hours on a tractor, come hell or high water, following your parents' example, sacrificing, taking the risks, putting in the effort, putting in the graft. Nobody talks about that stuff, and they just talk about what they see. And for me, I like to talk about that stuff in this environment because I know the people that listen to it, not all of them are business owners. A lot of them are not. Some of them want to aspire to be, and we talk about that. But in order to do it's not for everybody, and it's been, for me personally, it has been harder than I ever thought it would ever be. And I'm only 4.5 years in. I think it's probably going to get harder. Different decisions, things get scarier, numbers creep up, people. It is especially when you've got an aspiration to want to get somewhere.
Are you enjoying it every day?
Yeah.
And it feeds you. You wouldn't want to do anything else?
No, I don't think I could ever work for anybody again.
No. And it's you're deciding whether you're going left and right. And then sometimes,
and I've always felt that.
You feel very lonely at the front on your own. And then sometimes you want to turn around and ask others if you go left and right. But if you're not careful, they're going to tell you what you want to hear or whatever. So as you said, it's such a lonely place.
But you do have those periods where, I'm not ashamed to admit it. 6 months ago, I'm on my dining room table with my partner in tears because I've had enough. I've had enough. In that moment, I turned around for the first time since I started the businesses and I said, I can't do this anymore. I feel like it's changing me as a person, and I don't like it. I'm not willing to sacrifice that for it. I'm not the same person.
It mustn't break you. I think if it breaks you...
I'm very fortunate that she said the right things.
Yes.
And I'm fortunate that I've got the right partner.
That's
tremendous.
That's
I'll never be more thankful for that because she's obviously... She might have been panicking at that time, thinking, fucking hell, like, if you don't do this and what are we going to do? But she didn't, and she made me believe.
I've had fantastic people around me as well that supported me.
Yeah.
And,
but there's not many of them, is there?
When I run away to Australia, I've picked it all up, and you don't realise...
That's real strength, though, isn't it?
That's just phenomenal. Even when I was in hospital in bed, she was still picking up all of the stuff and keeping it going. And it's when the chips are down. You look at the Dunkirk things as well. When when the doors go down and you're going to run out, how do you have the courage to go? And it's just the same. That's probably worse.
Yeah,
that's always something worse, isn't it? That was a lot worse than you setting up your own business and all those people tormenting you and making those decisions. If you're trying to do the D-Day landings and you're in that boat, the minute the doors go down, what do you do? That's a decision that you can't even contemplate, isn't it? And it's and
I think one of the reasons why I like doing these podcasts is obviously it's educational, hopefully for people, but it's selfishly for me. I use every experience of meeting people. We said about Chris. About Craig before we come on, the triple amputee who's gone from committing suicide, losing 3 of his limbs, managing to keep one, and now he's competing for Team GB and he's super happy with kids and partner and in a great place. You think about those stories. I use that when I have a day where, because I do get up every day with the intent to want to do my best for the people that are out there and for my own family. But there's days that are more harder than others, and it's these conversations and listening to your graft in your 20s and seeing the success that you've had on Google and all the things that are there, all the brands and the logos, and understanding what actually makes up that success, understanding those health concerns that you've had and different things that have happened in your life, and all these other conversations, when I look back, I'll have a shit day and I'll think, fucking hell, Craig didn't give up. And genuinely, I'll do that.
And you're alive.
You know,
and it's like,
fuck
you're
me.
alive. You're breathing.
I have all my limbs.
Yes.
And he won't mind me saying it because he says it quite brashly. You know, I've never tried to take my own life.
Yeah.
I've never thought I'm going to go and do that. So actually, what the fuck am I moaning about? You know,
Exactly, yeah.
I'm having a tough day. I need to get over myself. I need to get over it. I'm fighting for myself, the people out there in the business, customers, my own family. I'm trying to do my best. Maybe it's just a bad day. So I'll get through today and I'll go at it again tomorrow. And it's these conversations that help me and the reason why I do this. And you'll be no different. I'll listen back to this podcast, the edits, the cuts. I'll look at my notes in 3 months' time and I'll think, I've had a shit day today. Let me just, he mentioned something in that podcast. I want to go back and listen to that.
And that's what gives us strength. I think that's what I've listened to. As I said, I love your solo ones because it's just you emptying your mind of thoughts, but it's all thoughts that have inspired you from those other. Because you mention all the different podcasts.
Well, you mentioned about travelling and that helping you.
Yeah,
conversations with different people helps me.
I love it. Yeah, to be able to be free to go around the world to see all those different cultures. Yeah, it's like I learned an awful lot about business service from Japan. Yeah. If you want to know about business, just go and stay in Japan for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Because anybody in hospitality or any business, you never question service out there. They can never do too much in there, whether it's a train or whatever. It's such an incredible place. But that's all the business, and then you have your mind. What I find fascinating is, especially with getting older as well, I suffer from age. I always probably lied about my age. I'm still a 50-something, probably not, but I still am. And I've probably still got the inner age, I think, of my mid-30s. I say I'm getting older. I would have been in my late 20s, but I think I'm probably in my mid to late 30s. I'm growing up slowly.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to have a young inner age to and ages.
That vibrancy and energy, isn't it?
Whoever you talk to, it sort of starts to get a bit, for some people when they're 40, oh my God, I cried when I was 40, when I was 50, I thought that's it, And you listen to some of the guys you talk to and they say, I'm old now, I'm 40. You think, you're not bloody started yet. And I think as far as age goes, your 20s, you mess about experimenting. Go and do what you like. Get as many jobs as you like. Do what you like. Your 30s, you're condensing it. I think the ideal age, if you had to do that, I know everybody's different, but to me, it'd be about 40 to 45 would be because you're still active enough and energetic enough, but you've got enough.
A lot of experience.
You can't buy experience. And you've got to, especially something that's a bit slow, like dyslexic or whatever you call it, like me. I need to have it sort of knocked in me to get it to resonate. So
we mentioned about a few important character traits and important things, and you mentioned those 3 elements.
Yes.
Before we press record. So I'll ask you this question. I know we've already spoken about it, but just for the benefit of people watching and listening, through your whole experience in your life, what are those core pillars that you think people could take away from this podcast to really think about that are important?
So when I sold Tyrells, I was talking to a lady from the senior management at Unilever, and she was telling me about their 3, if you want to become a CEO, or the 3 things you have to have, and if you've got 3 points in each. And this always resonated with me because I know we shouldn't grade people. It's not the right thing to do, and it's not politically correct probably. But these 3 things. The first thing is charisma, character, and charm. The second thing is your business sense, is drive, ambition, business ethics, or just work ethic probably. And then the last one is intelligence. But don't register it as exam results, but treat it as however you can quickly learn, how quickly you can learn, streetwise, what you've learnt in your life, how responsive you can be. So you've got those 3 things. If you've got 3 points in each, you're a 9-pointer. So you've got everything theoretically. But there are some people in life that they do really well with charisma, character. So some days you can think that's the best trait to have. The other days you can think you've got to have that drive and ambition and be able to get up in the morning and go.
Yeah.
And then the other time thinking, well, it's perhaps it's intellect. Should I be, which is the priority? And I've mulled this over now for 10, 12 years now. And it's a bit like the lucky or the management side. I think the biggest one is drive and ambition and work ethic. If you've got that, and I think you, listening to your solo as well. I think that is the biggest. To get out of bed, who's that guy that says you've got to make your bed in the morning and you've got to? It wasn't Wim Hof. It was before him. It was doing something. However depressed or however low you got it, you get out of bed and you've got to make your bed and you've got to do something to get going. What gets you out of bed in the morning? What gets you going? What drives you? So I think drive and ambition and that work ethic has to be, to me, and like charisma and charm. If you're smart enough, you can learn how to develop that. I think you can, and the other thing, and if you've got the basics, I think you can put it together. A lot of people you interview, however they get into that pickle in life, for me, I look, in regrets of going down there and coming back up again. But if I hadn't gone down there, I'm the sort of person, if I could have inherited and had a good life, and I probably would have quite easily. It's just that journey, isn't it, of taking those left and rights and where it takes you. And for me, as you said, like travelling around the world to go and use the business, then to go and see. And you see the world in a totally different place if you go and meet people to do business with them than if you go there on holiday or you're just travelling. It's a different space. What would you say of those? What would be
my three?
Of your three? Because I listened, you had one where you had 4 or 5, where you had more.
Yeah, I had a few. But I think when I look at it now, like the things that, I learn a lot from my kids. And I think about the 3 things that I talk about with him on the way to football. And I think sometimes to simplify things is the best thing to do. And when I say to him, what are the 3 things? And he says, never give up. Mm-hmm. So that's really important because it's hard to beat someone that doesn't give up. No matter, you can make up for the fact you're not as good as somebody else by staying in the game, being tenacious, always keep running, keep pushing and keep driving forward. The second one I think would be to have fun. Because he plays football because I want him to win. I want him to have that mentality to keep going and win. But he needs to also enjoy it. I don't want him to do something where he doesn't enjoy it and be forced to do anything at all. If he gets to 16 and doesn't want to play football anymore, that's okay with me. Go and do what you want to do. But I want him to know that a key component of working hard is also having fun. Yeah. And the other the other element that I think is important is to. It's around people. What my old CEO said, he said a number of things that have stuck with me. But one thing in particular that stuck with me is a phrase he used to say all the time. Business is it's 80% about people and 20% about other shit. Mm. Yeah. And he used to say it all the time. And I think back to that now when we go through highs and lows. And I think the highs are generated and are delivered by people. The lows are also because of people. People. And if what's kind of resonated through some of the stories that you've told about Tyrells and Chase and what you're doing now is it's either you're searching for the people or it's either being very humble and grateful for the team of people that got you to that position in the business because they're people that are treating it as their own business, their own baby, even though it's not necessarily their own baby. They're part of that journey, part of the spirit of what's happened. Or whether it's listening to individuals in your business at Tyrells that are working on the shop floor, that are not even from this country, that are giving you an idea to go and do something that's been that's made a material difference to your future and your family's future and the success of the company. So I think that people element is something, regardless of what kind of business you run, big, small, whatever industry it is, that's something that I've always been really passionate about trying to keep in my mindset when I'm making decisions and when I'm thinking about what's actually important.
No man's an island. You can't do it on your own.
Absolutely not. And I used to think I could. In my 20s,
yeah, me.
I want to do it on my own. I wanted to.
Yeah.
But it
was for me probably. It was after Tyrells. I didn't realise what a fantastic team of people I got.
The fun comes from, and like I said before, you asked me about the highs and lows. My biggest lows have been people related, and my biggest highs have been people related. Nothing to do with the products that we sell. The products are irrelevant.
When they say it's not until you're in the winner's enclosure you realise the fun was in the race, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's that.
Yeah. Enjoy it, and perversely enjoying some of the difficult moments. Trying to see the
funny side of them.
Yeah, trying to see the decisions that you've made that maybe weren't so good, and looking at them in a certain way, which is going to be conducive to actually using the information to move forward, rather than be negative and drag you backwards. You've made the choice; it's the wrong choice. Get over it, move on, learn from it, and make another choice.
And that's a good point as well. It's making mistakes. is anybody can't make a mistake, can't make anything. So you have to, but it's when you make the same mistake twice or three times, then you've got to draw the line. But mistakes is a good. I've made plenty of mistakes. When people look at you, you look back, you only remember the good times. You don't remember the bad times. Like you said, what did I do at the very start? I had this idea to hire farm machinery, so I was going to hire muck spreaders and things to farmers, but they'd bring them back in such a condition, such a state. We never made any money, and they'd all get misused and something. So, and I've done so many things that have been a waste of time, but I had to do those to find the little nugget, the other bits. The magic that you say. Yeah. If you're not out there, you've got to be in it to win it, haven't you? If you're not out, if you don't fire anything, you never hit anything. So you've got to.
So if you're speaking to as we sort of finish this podcast, if you're speaking to any of the listeners and the viewers now, and we're talking specifically about Willy's as your product at the moment in terms of what you're doing, and clearly there's a real passion from personal perspectives and experiences that are negative and positive around why this is important for you and why actually it's important for everybody to look after their health. If you had a little bit of time now to speak to these people that maybe haven't tried what's sitting on the table right now and don't really understand why they should try it, what would you say to those people?
I would say what I've learned since I've got into this in the last 4 or 5 years, first of all, is that as society, in my lifetime, I've grown up as a sort of like a Dettol baby, if you like. I was taught that all bacteria was bad, and you had to wipe everything with Dettol. But then we'd have had lead paint in our cots and things when I was a baby or something. But I've been taught that all bacteria is bad. Now the whole thinking now is that there's only 20% of our bacteria is bad in our body. The rest is good. So if we've been drinking too much Coke, or we've been drinking too much sugar or industrial processed foods or sweeteners, it's not good for you. So what I'm impressed by now is the whole enthusiasm now to having healthy live food. We're now moving back. If you look at sometimes you see a whole lot of food on a table, and if it's all beige, if it's all fried and there's no colour in it, we all know what's good for us and what's not good for us. We know blueberries are good for us, and probably frozen blueberry ice cream is probably not good for us. But it's taking all that. And so for me, what we're doing now is to try and make it as a catalyst. And like, we all know what we're doing wrong in life. We know we're eating the wrong stuff. We probably know we're probably drinking too much, or we're doing the wrong things. So to have a change, for me personally, I had to have a catalyst to do it, and this is my catalyst. And it would be nice to sort of get that across to other people that if you're going to have a change, you want to save the planet, you want to make, if we want to make better food, we've got to understand it. And we do things like food waste, food miles, convenience. It's I admire these parents, these mums that don't give their children Coke, and they don't take them to McDonald's, and they do try and bring them up. It's that quite inspires me, and it's I think the knowledge on food and drink is probably the most important thing in our lives, and we are what we eat. And I think if you eat the right stuff, you are right. And especially recently, since I've looked so much into the sort of the mental side of it, if you want to help yourself mentally, again, you are what you eat. So if your gut is your second brain. So if you eat the right food and your gut's happy, your brain's happy. And if your brain's happy, you'll feed your skin and everything else. You'll go to the gym, you'll exercise, and you'll just be so much better. So without being too preachy about it, that's how I see it. I see it live probiotic foods, what we're making with Willy's, as a catalyst in your life to... it's like a lot of sauces and things, hot sauce and that. It's no good just putting stuff on your food that's not going to, do any good. It's like if you're not drinking, don't drink alcohol-free beers or alcohol-free, if there is such a thing. Or, if you don't want to eat meat, don't eat meat-free meat. Not that there is such a thing. If it's not got meat in it, it's not meat in it. But all of these things, if you're going to do something, take something really good. So that's what we're trying to do with this business, is trying to make something real that is good. And no foods are bad, everything in moderation. I don't expect people to stop, but it's just putting things into order, isn't it? It's like coming out the alcohol business for me. It was a shock in there to see how much people did actually get on it and how much they did. And probably COVID is the one thing in the last 3 years that you've had society's gone two ways. Some people have just stayed and locked themselves in, and had their sausage rolls and their chips and their booze, and they think, we'll wait this one out. And other people have tried to climb Kilimanjaro on their stairs, or done a marathon in their garden, or they've learned how to play the piano, or they've done all those things. So I think society is, especially young guys, it inspires me so much how they've gone. So that's why we've got a massive interest in this whole sort of healthy gut stuff now. It's quite, and we wouldn't have talked about it like a dirty subject a few years ago. People wouldn't even talked about that. But it's massive, the following.
Well, I used to suffer quite badly from bloating because I eat a lot, and in the 30 to 40 days that I've been doing the gut shot program, it's gone.
Yeah. We get that, a lot of testimonials. A lot of people.
Honestly, it has gone.
Would you keep doing it? You stay on it?
I've kept doing it. I've made it part of my morning. I've got a routine in the morning of stuff that I do.
And you like
that's now part
of it. The
taste
is okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the hardest thing. If something tastes better, it's easier to take it than if it tastes.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a pretty standard morning routine. I get up relatively early. There's certain things that I'll eat. There's certain things that I'll drink. There's certain things that I'll shoot back. And the one thing that I really like about all your brands that you've ever had, and especially about this one, is just the level of detail and the thought that's gone into the product. And in specifically, what I really liked about this is you've gone from alcohol, and you've just spoken about that in a certain way.
I hope I was honest enough.
No, yeah, great. You've spoken about that in a certain way. But if you look at what you've done now with the Willy's stuff, what came with the package that I received when I got the stuff was a shot.
Yeah.
And I like that because that puts a perverse spin on, that's a shot that's doing me good. Mm-hmm. And I like it. It looks nice. It's quality. And that shot, that I've got about 6 of these in the cupboard. Yeah. And the shot glass sits at the front. Nobody touches it. And that I use it every morning. It shots back. I'll have my other bits and pieces that I'll have, a smoothie or whatever I want to eat, a couple of bananas. I'll go into the garage and do a workout. I'll go walk the dog. I'll come into work. That's now part of my morning routine, and it's been a really good addition, and I've enjoyed it. And it's nice to be able to actually think about what I'm eating and drinking, and think that there's a story behind it, and that it's, there's no artificial stuff in there. Mm-hmm. It's natural. And don't get me wrong, I'll have a takeaway every now and again. I'm no different to anybody else, but it makes me feel better doing that when I know that I'm filling my body and I'm starting my day with something good. Exactly. And that's the reason why it stayed.
And that's a catalyst, and that's fantastic.
And that helps me mentally. That makes me feel good. Yes. If I have a day where I don't have that and I don't follow my routine with that in it, I feel a little bit at sea. Yeah. I feel like I let myself down.
And it takes your appetite away as well, doesn't it? Yeah. It takes the edge off it. Yeah. And it's just, to me, it's like natural. If you follow America, they have so many vitamin pills and gummies and different things, which can't be good for you. But if you're taking something that is live, and it's take that with your live yogurt or blueberries or whatever you have for breakfast. It's fantastic.
Well, if anyone watching and listening to this wants to find out more information about any of the products that you create, the website's willysacv.com. www.willys, that's with an S, ACV.com, and they can find out everything on there. And there's a really cool sort of 30-day or 60-day process, I think it is, with this specifically, where it's kind of like a challenge, isn't it? You've got a 30 or 60-day challenge, and that's really interesting as well to get. You can subscribe to that as well on the website, which I thought was quite good.
And our sort of main USP, our main key with it, is it's got a live mother, and it's trying to educate what a live mother is.
So,
that good,
so for people that don't know what that is, what is it?
Live healthy mother is strands of bacteria. So keep it as simple as possible. It's like a bacteria. If you're making kombucha and things, you've got your scobies, your cellulose. It's just the bacteria that's come out of all the tannins, and it's basically a fantastic antioxidant. That's what you put. But it's the main key part of that mother, what makes all mothers different, because all mothers are very different, all bacteria are totally different, all different strains. They say even in two twins, if you get two twins together, the bacteria will be fairly similar until the one goes off and starts having pot noodles at uni and the other one goes somewhere else. So they've studied this in microbiomes. So it's the microbiome in there, in the soil, which goes through to Willy's with the mother, that goes on again. So that 300-year-old mother, she is live, and that's why it's in a dark recycled bottle. That's why we like to keep it in the fridge, because she's not dead, she's 100% live. And it's such a difficult subject at the moment to tell people. They've been told for the last 50 years have everything pasteurized and processed and homogenized,
easy, isn't it?
And make everything safe, and dead food Whereas to like try and start selling live food now, it is, obviously people are pregnant or something. There's always that side of it. That's the one to watch if you're having live foods. But for everybody else, it's fantastic to have a product that's been alive for over 300 years that is genuinely there and it's living. And and to me, it's just using it as a catalyst, using that daily dose of mother every day as a catalyst. And I think even food education, if people do get on and learn about the mother and learn what it is, it helps them in everything else they're going to eat.
Absolutely. No, look, William, it's been really good having you on. Really appreciate you being very honest and truthful about your experiences, whether they were good, bad, or somewhere in the middle about your sort of journey so far. I'm super excited to see what's planned moving forward with Willy's. No doubt it will be a success, and anybody, put from personal experience, anybody that wants to know more. So if anybody wants to know a bit more about the brand, a bit more about you, a bit more about the products, what they do, how would you advise them to sort of contact?
Yeah, give me a ring. I always make the number public, so just give us a ring, and I'd love to talk to anybody. I'm always there. I have been with Tyrells and with the distillery and with Willy's now. It's the customers are more important to me than anything else. I just love it. I always put the phone number on every bottle, every packet, every letter we do. Always put the phone number, and it's not an answer phone. We want somebody there to answer. Yeah. And I love to hear from people. I don't like paying market researchers. I want to be right at the front of it.
Hear from the source.
And customers to me are friends. I think customers you need them, and they've got to be happy, and they've got to join in with the whole thing, and it's got to work. And if it doesn't, I always want to know why. If it doesn't do it for you, I just love brand magic. If you love a brand, and it's making sure that brand never lets you down, it's there.
Yeah, look, your energy is inspiring. It's been great to have a discussion with you and talk about, with you, talk about your sort of journey. And I think there'll be tons of takeaways for everybody that's listening and watching this. I'm certainly going to rehash the notes and probably watch it a couple of times over, as I always do. So I really appreciate you giving us some time and coming to see us. And wish you really, really well with the
Thank you
the venture.
Much. And sorry if I waffle too much. I hope you've got it all in there. But it's been an honour. It's fantastic. I love the way you look at things, and more in the human side than just the business robotic side.
Yeah,
it's all about people and people first. I agree with everything you say. I think it's been a pleasure talking.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Love it.
Thanks.
Nice one.